close to where we belong. Now we're trying to go somewhere new.
Hello guys, and welcome back. I know I haven't made a video in a while, but I want to introduce you to this new, well, it's not exactly new, but it's a game that I was introduced to by a good friend of mine named Dare, called Astroneer. It's a survival-based game that is hinged around several different elements, and I just want to do a kind of a playthrough and introduce you to. So the first thing you do is you start out with a crash ship, and as you see, we've landed and we are getting our initial devices. One of the things is called Astroneer, which is very, very important because you need that to be able to deploy what's called tethers, which I will show you here in a minute. But anyway, this is your initial shelter area on the starting planet. You don't get to choose your starting planet. So anyway, they give you a oxygenator, a little small platform here, and a medium printer. Now, when you're deploying your platforms, you want to make sure, if you notice there's an arrow on there, you want to get the arrow pointing to you, because that way when you put your devices on there, it will put it facing you. So one of the first things we got to do is we have to go out and we have to find a couple of key components or resources. One of those resources is compound, which is the little bubbly looking gray stuff there. The two things that, or three things I guess, that you're going to be battling. One is that you have a oxygen meter. If you look at the top of the little backpack that I'm wearing, you will see that there is a blue meter there that's going down. That's oxygen levels. And when you stay too far away from your base area, or if you don't have tethers ran to it, then you do not have a continuous supply of oxygen. And so it's important that you get compound right off the bat, because the compound will allow you to, it's one of the initial building blocks that you need. And as you can see here, my oxygen levels are dangerously low. And so it comes up and gives you a little indication there, says, hey, you're suffocating because you don't have the oxygen that is needed. The other thing that we have to find is a thing called resin. Now here I found a backpack of a previous explorer, and that's tethers, and a couple other devices there, batteries, a couple of batteries, some dynamite, and I believe it was a couple oxygen, I'm sorry, one battery, 2 oxygen filters, and a soil canister. Now, the importance of a soil canister is that it stores soil as you do mining, and it will allow you to level out in and around your base, because you want to keep your area flat as we add more platforms to support larger items, tools, things that we'll need to unlock, and we will unlock. And so basically at this point, I just need to gather up some resources. Found some tethers off that backpack, and so I'm going to just run out and do a little bit of resource gathering, and I'm going to speed that up so it's not to bore you too much. And anyway, enjoy the music, and here we go. Okay, and welcome back. So, as you can see here, I've got some resources. I've got some resin, I've got some compound, and I've got some organics. And so, the copper, as I'm unloading there now, it comes in later. Right now, we can't do anything with it because we don't have a smelter. The compound and the resin is the two initial resources that you use and you'll need quite a bit of, and is very important to have. So anyway, like I said, I've got a little bit of a supply here of resin and compound and like I say copper. Now there's a few devices that we're going to need off the bat, and those are some platforms to put we have to build platforms rather than put the devices on. As you can see here, I'm using the canister, soil canister that I found that allows me to level out the base area around me. You do this by holding down your control key and then left clicking your mouse button, and it levels the ground and stuff around you, because you want to try to keep things as level as possible when you're setting up your base. Anyway, and so I'm doing that. Of course, my media printer here is printing out a medium-sized platform that will hold just one device. Now, you will, as the game progresses and we find more research bites, we will be able to unlock larger bases, or not bases rather, but platforms that will allow us to deploy larger devices and stuff that we need. Anyway, so as that's printing off here, as you can see, I'm just kind of expanding the base a little bit here and leveling things out. If you notice on the terrain, there's different colors. That's because sometimes it's removing and then sometimes it's adding. One of the first things that you will need to do is get what is called a research chamber. And so as I deploy this platform here, the next thing I'm going to do is print up a research chamber. And so a research chamber takes one compound and two, one resin and two compound. Yeah, I'll get that right in a minute. Anyway, so we need to print that out, and because what that happens, what that does for us is, now if you notice here, when I put the battery up there, it sped up the printing. That's because your initial survival capsule there has a very limited energy source, and so one of the things that we'll work on doing is getting some more energy sources through solar and wind. And one of the great things, and we'll do this later in a subsequent video, is I'll kind of go out and scavenge the planet, and I will find some solar generators and some wind generators that will produce more power for us. Of course, the problem with both of those two items is because they're subjective to whether or not the sun is out or whether or not the wind is blowing. If you don't have that, well, then your power supply or source diminishes. So the in-game kind of stuff, one of the things you will look for is called an RTI. And it's kind of, I guess you would consider it, for lack of a better word, a nuclear type generator. But anyway, I'm just gathering some more compound here because it just seems like you always need compound. You will always need resin. But anyway, just gathering up some more resources and stuff here. And another thing that you will need to build early on is that and as you see here, I found a bit more copper, and copper is also very important because, okay, now here's another little thing that you see I'm doing is I built a little ramp which will allow me to get down into the bottom of these resources here. You go back in here and make sure to get all of the resource in this area. this little node. So anyway, just finalizing getting some of the materials in this area. I tend to have a tendency that when I'm out gathering resources and whatever, I try to get everything that's there, and not just get just a little bit of whatever and run back and what have you. Now, do I need all this compound right at this very moment? No, I won't. But I will need it for building the larger devices. We'll also need it for building tethers. And tethers, early game, really help you explore, and you'll get to go out and find some things. But here on the starting planet, there are some what they call research chambers. Now, in the research chambers, you are opened up by 3 different methods. Okay, you have ones that will open up if you have aluminum in its raw form. You can open it up with power, and there's 2 types of power. One is you have to have a certain amount of power, and the second one is you just have to provide power to it, and it slowly builds it up. Now, early game, you can do those fairly easy. All you need is a portable generator, which runs off of the organic compounds, and that's it. So here you see I've got the research chamber built, and I'm going to go ahead and start building a second large platform to put my smelter on, because I've got to be able to smelt my copper to be able to build what's called a work light, which will allow me, because here soon I've got to go towards the core of the planet, and so to be able to do that I need to be able to see, and so I need a smelter to be able to smelt the copper to allow me to build a work light. So anyway, this is where we're going to end this video, and I hope to do a whole series. I'm going to try to do 1 to 2 videos a week, but as you guys know, I work for a living, and these things, this is more of a hobby than it is. So anyway, you guys take care, and if you pick up the game and would like to play together in a co-op mode, we can. Just hit me up at Riverter on Twitter. And until then, you guys take care and have a great day.